Hi, my name is Asia Labre, and I am going to go over my TCP Time Traveler application. This is my final project for the Digital Forensics class. So I'm going to start with a brief demo, then I will go through some of the code, and then we'll wrap up with the completion of the demo. So TCP Time Traveler is the name of my application, and what the overall goal is to provide a timeline visual of the TCP streams within a PCAP file, or a PCAP file is a network capture file. So what we are looking at on this web page, this is from a simple HTTP server from the Python library, and if we look at this page, the left column is a list of the domains that were found in the PCAP file, and within each row it is a visual of a TCP stream that was found for that domain in that PCAP file that we've provided. So I highlighted the AOL domain and the PCAP file that was found for it as an example. Now if we scroll down, we'll see there are a number of domains with associated with associated TCP streams, and we can go through and look at the timeline at the bottom here, and this is being displayed as the month, December, the 3rd is the day, and the 22nd hour with the 44th minute, and it starts at the 0th second and it goes to the 5th second, and you can see it also it takes into consideration the milliseconds. So this is in the millisecond format, and this PCAP file, from what we see here, is about 35 seconds long, probably a little bit shorter, and we can see that the user was on multiple sites such as YouTube, Yahoo, and that the data between the user's PC, the user's computer, and the domain, the external domains only, are all listed here. So one feature that I've added to help us focus in on the pertinent data is the ability to filter out certain domains of our choice. And it's a self-learning list, so as you add it or delete, it will remain saved for the next iteration. So if we go here to add delete domain link and say we want to remove the AOL.com link or domain, we would add it here, AOL.com, and we would add, because we want to add it as to our filtration list, so it would not display in the timeline. So I just added it. I'll go back to the page. I will need to refresh for the page to be regenerated, and I will also need to have that page reread. While that is processing, it does take some time. These files are very large. We can go over some of the features I added to improve on the performance. So one thing that does take quite a bit of time is identifying the domain name from the IP address in the PCAP file. And what I did to try and speed up that process is I built a local DNS based off of the PCAP file. So I did this using the tshark command with the DNS filter and the DNS query name and the DNS response IP address. So this is how I built the local DNS, and as I iterate, after this is built, I iterate through the PCAP file, and if the name is not found in the local DNS, I do an NS lookup. The other interesting things that I added, some extra features, is I added the ability to place everything into a CSV after the end of processing it, in case there's a need to, oh, sorry about that, there's a need to do something else with the data, do some sort of other analytics that would be of interest. So if we go to the latest run, you can see this is the set of PCAP data, and you have the IP addresses, you have the date formats, and you have the host name, the domain name, which is used as the group for the display, and if it should be displayed based on the filtered list that you can add or delete from. So let's close that. I also added a feature for being able to calculate time for the seconds, minutes, and hours if the PCAP file were to extend that long. And I also added I've also added in the timeline the ability to group by domain name and in alphabetical order, as we saw earlier. And some of the libraries that I used, I should point out, I used the VIS JavaScript library. This allowed me to plug into that the data and to display the timeline. It's a pretty great library. It's built by the MIT group, and the reason I chose this is because of its ability to take in milliseconds. Not all of the libraries that are open source do that. And I also used Django, which is a Python library that I used for generating HTML dynamically and to create the timelines. So in combination with the VIS JavaScript and the Django JavaScript, Python, that's how the timeline was built. Okay, so let's take a look and see if we're almost ready. Okay. Just another minute. One thing I'll do here so that it doesn't reload again, let's clean that up. Okay, there we go. So now we don't see AOL.com, and you can clean up the list through the simple web server, or you could actually just go to the text file, upload what you may or may not be interested in, and rerun. Thank you for your time, and if you have any questions, please reach out to me. Thanks.